So this is the Bale buggy that I built, and I'll show you a video from the build here momentarily, but basically what this thing is designed to do is to move around bales, either one bale in the center or two at a time, you know, one on each side, and it's designed to be pulled behind a truck or a tractor or perhaps even a UTV of some sort if you have one that's heavy enough. Now, the design here is fairly simple. I spent, I think, less than $2,000. I didn't keep an exact total, but somewhere around $2,000 building this, and it took me probably 40 to 50 hours in total, but that's kind of designing it as I went in a lot of ways, and it could theoretically be built cheaper if a person wanted to. I mean, like the winch alone and the wireless remote control is like $500 or more. But anyway, the system I came up with here, it's designed to be powered by an electric winch. That's optional if you want to save some money. I guess a person could use a come along or something, but I don't regret having this winch on here. But the winch tilts the spear frame and thus lifts the bales off the ground. And there's also a battery, of course, that powers the winch. It's just a cheap-ish ATV winch. Just runs on a standard 12-volt battery. And in order to keep that battery charged up, I got one of those little Honda clone motors. I got that spinning away, turning a one-wire alternator, which helps keep things charged if a person was to use this, for example, to move an entire field around bales to the outskirts of the field after baling, or perhaps for any other extended operations. Or failing that, simply, I mean, if you let the thing sit all winter and you go to use it in the spring and the battery set, it can charge itself and just sit here and work. So anyway, let's see how exactly this thing is gone together. So check it out, guys. The axle is pretty much ready to go. Essentially all it needs at this point is some oil in it.
All right, guys, so watching this now in 2022, man, oof, I built this thing at a time in my life when I mistakenly believed that society was still at all functional, and at the time, things like the steel and the Bale spears and whatnot, they really didn't cost that much money. In fact, if memory serves, most of the steel that you see in this project I acquired for free off of other welding projects that I was working on at the time, or else, it was very cheap to buy, then a fraction of what it costs now. Man, it is crazy. Watching this now, we're going into the summer of 2022. Everybody's talking about fuel shortages, food shortages. There's going to be like rolling blackouts and stuff. Everything is so dysfunctional, and only a handful of short years ago, it was not that big of a deal to assemble something like this pretty much just for the lulz and because I thought it would be fun. Wow, what a different world. Anyway, yeah, so looking back at this, it would be difficult to build something like this. I mean, the steel would cost many times now what it did then, and that's if it's even available at all. I tried to buy some nuts and bolts and stuff from my local hardware store a while ago, and they said there's like a 4-month wait on pretty much anything they order made out of steel, and it's gone up substantially in price. It was a whole big thing. It's funny, I was talking to the guy there. He did scrounge up the nuts and bolts that I need, and I was talking to him afterwards. I was joking. I was like, yeah, this keeps going on for a few more years. Next time we need stuff like this, we'll have to find a junk car in the woods and, just take nuts and bolts off of that. He laughed, I laughed, and then we both looked at each other, both knowing that, yeah, that's actually kind of how it's looking. So anyway, the state of the world right now, if I was going to build this again, I would not mess around with any of this, complex moving parts kind of stuff. I haven't priced out that winch, but I don't even want to know what that costs now. Those little Harbor Freight motors have gone up like 40% or something. Yeah, and everything is a lot more expensive. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to build this so complicated. Like I said, it was just kind of the fun thing to do at the time. But if you're watching this now, here's what I would do. If you're going to build something like this, there's two things to know. One, yeah, don't mess around with any of this stuff. Just get a come along, like a manual cable operated winch. You can find those, places like Amazon, places like Harbor Freight, simple stuff like that. The off-brand items I've gotten have been fine. Just make sure it works when you get it. And it'll probably last for years. And you can find one of those without spending too much money on, on sites like the aforementioned. Yeah, don't mess around with any of this complex stuff. Yeah, that's especially if things break down completely. Having something that's manually operated like that would be definitely the way to go. Never mind the fact that I can't imagine buying all this stuff would be affordable in 2022. Anyway, yeah, so you got that going on. Really, the only thing I did wrong on this, I say that I kind of engineered it as I went, obviously. That axle should be further back. I built this machine to be used with, like larger diesel tractors in my F350, so a lack of tongue weight isn't that big of a deal, or in some cases negative tongue weight when there's a bale or two on there. However, obviously, if you're, thinking of building something like this for use behind a smaller pickup truck or like a, Ford 8N or something, yeah, that's going to cause some issues. You're definitely going to need some tongue weight, so that axle should be as far back as it goes. I could have actually moved that thing. That wouldn't have been that much work to slice out those welds. But regardless, yeah, let's try it out.
We'll just leave these here. We'll try to leave past the end of the trailer. We'll just leave these here and load them up once we get as many as the trailer can take at once. Come on, leave it. Ah, cool. I like that. This thing is a lot harder to back than it looks for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Oh, that's brilliant. All right, we can grab it, but can we lift it? This is more than I built it for. Oh, but it works. It does it. Cool.
But well, I got to try out the Bale buggy. Oh yeah, right. There's that other field I was gonna go to, but I had some plans present themselves, so I'm gonna go do that instead. I'm only gonna work 8 hours today. The bales will still be there tomorrow. So anyway, here's my initial thoughts on using that thing. It works great. It works flawlessly, actually. Although the carburetor on that engine, I am gonna have to fine tune. You know, again, it is a carburetor, so it's going to perpetually be having problems and needing adjustment. However, I gotta try to figure out where there's something that resembles a field entrance and not just a straight ditch to go through here. However, it does seem to work really, really well. One thing I will say that I don't like, this looks relatively smooth. And this is a true story of how I marooned my truck on the edge of a hayfield. I think we're good. However, let's see, I kind of lost my train of thought there. However, it is a little bit hokey using this behind a tractor. It was not made to be used behind a tractor, at least not one with a functional 3-point hitch, because I could just put a bale spear on there. I actually bought bale spears to make a 3-point bale spear probably like 6 months or so ago. They're still in the back room of my house. I have not gotten around to doing anything with them, unfortunately. However, I greatly look forward to building a 3-point bale spear, because using this behind the tractor, it's kind of hard to maneuver. Those 3-point arms keep wanting to raise up, so of course we have to chain those in place, and there's just not really a reason to. I built this thing to go behind this truck, so if I'm leaving hay on a field between first and second cutting, the bales aren't literally in the field. I can drive out there at road speed with this truck, grab all these bales with the wireless remote control, which I have for this thing, and pick them up and set them all on the edge of the field or whatever and drive home. Saves wear and tear on the tractor, saves wear and tear on tractor tires. It's a lot more comfortable, it's probably a lot more enjoyable. And that's what I made it for, and I think it'll work for that. I am super, super, super happy to have gotten to be able to use this thing today. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video of me getting to run this a little bit. I really couldn't ask for anything more. I think that thing was an interesting design. I don't know about you guys. I've never seen anything like it before. I mean, it's not exactly rocket surgery, so someone somewhere has probably built something similar. But I still invented it. Maybe someone invented it before me, and that's okay. But whatever the case, I'm really, really happy with this project. And I'd just like to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more.